In this video, I'm going to do a complete case study breakdown on how we helped an agency go from $12K a month all the way to $80K a month in under 18 months. And I'm going to be breaking down step by step the exact things that we did to grow them over 567% in that time frame. And if you don't know who I am, my name's Nicholas Kirchner. I'm a 3-time multi-7-figure founder, and I sold my first business at the age of 21. Now I run Hydra, a consulting firm and portfolio company that helps agencies, consultants, and B2B service providers scale. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so we took 253 Media, a Webflow and Shopify development agency, from just kind of skating by at $12K a month all the way to $1 million a year company. So how did we do that? Well, I want to break down the key challenges that they faced here in the beginning. So the first challenge they faced was revenue unpredictability. And the thing that comes along with web development agencies is that you have a lot of one-time revenue, right? So you're basically starting from zero each and every month instead of having some sort of recurring service that offsets the one-time revenue and allows you to compound it over time versus starting from zero. So that was problem number one that we're going to get into. Problem number two is that they were really struggling to have predictable lead generation. At this point, we were reliant on pretty much just referrals for deal flow, which is a pretty vulnerable position to be in because we don't control how often we get referrals. There's some things we can do to set up referral networks to make them more predictable, but overall, we're putting the fate of our lead generation in someone else's hands. And step number three, we were the bottleneck. So with Nicholas, the founder, being a solo founder, he was stuck fulfilling all the client work as well as doing all of the sales, all of the marketing, and overall just had no systems in place to actually go about scaling. All right, so let's talk about solving the revenue predictability issue. So like I mentioned before, we had a lot of one-off revenue, right? So we get to charge a customer one time for a website, and then we are done. So what we wanted to do is transition them to some sort of an original build or a one-off build. So we still have our website, but then every month thereafter, we're able to charge them a service to maintain that website. So this was a low-ticket recurring service that basically handled just light updates for those clients' websites and kept up with basic on-page SEO, things like that. But this gave us the foundation of recurring revenue so that we actually could start hiring team and didn't have to have new projects coming in each and every month that were big web projects that we didn't have the lead flow for yet to start delegating that work out to them. So we did the website maintenance plan. The second thing we did was implemented landing pages. And what this allowed us to do is actually have a higher ticket recurring service. And if you run any amount of ad campaigns, you know that you want different pages to drive traffic to split test and improve your results. So really what we did, they got the one-off build, and then we had a monthly amount of landing pages that they actually got. And then that transitioned into CRO that we could charge for on a monthly basis as well. So we turned a one-time revenue stream into a monthly recurring revenue stream, which gave us the margin and predictability to go hire our first people to actually fulfill the work and start getting Nicholas out of that process. Hey, just wanted to grab a quick second of your time and we'll be right back to the video. But if you find any value in this content at all, then I want to invite you to one of our DNA days in person here in Nashville, where we deep dive into your business, identify what bottleneck is holding you back from growth, and then give you all of our proven systems, processes, and trainings to go ahead and solve that and support after the fact to make sure you realize that growth. So if that's interesting to you, go ahead, click the link in the description. And now back to the video. So the second thing we did was we had to fix this lead generation problem, right? We were just reliant on referrals, which is a vulnerable place to be, but super common, honestly, among service businesses. So we needed some channels to stand up. The first thing we implemented was LinkedIn outreach. And if you've watched this channel at all, you know that I'm a big fan of LinkedIn outreach, not only because we have access to key decision makers that actually have money and sizable businesses, but it's super easy to target them, and the results are actually quite strong because we have a lot of real estate to build our credibility, build our authority, to actually get them to book calls with us, unlike some other outreach channels. So we stood up LinkedIn outreach, and the prescription here is, connect with 25 decision makers a day, and then we're going to message everyone who accepts that connection request. Now, pro tip here, you want to send these connection requests blank. That's going to boost your connection acceptance rate, and I'm targeting somewhere around 30% for that connection acceptance rate. So then we message all of them, and we want to make this a human message. So what we advised is, saying something to the degree of, hey, I know this is random. You seemed like the best person to reach out to for this. Does not sound like a scripted bot or anything like that. And then just introduced Nicholas's credibility around building Webflow sites and Shopify stores to boost conversion rates and ultimately help brands make more money from the traffic that they were already getting. So really good, value proposition there, and very easy to book calls from because we were positioning how much revenue are you missing out on by having a website that doesn't convert. So if you run any type of website CRO offer, always going to be a strong angle to play from. So the LinkedIn outreach was one component of it. Now, the second component of the lead gen strategy was thought leadership content. Now, what thought leadership content does is it allows prospects to see us as the industry guide and expert. And of course, what comes along with that is them looking to you to actually fulfill on your service or solve their pain instead of sitting there and doing it themselves. Sure, they could listen to you talk and, probably take those learnings and implement. But at the end of the day, what we want people to feel is they watch our content and they're like, that seems like a lot of work, a lot of technicality, a lot of expertise that I don't have. So I'm just going to hire you to do it for me. And that is the whole point of producing content in the first place for B2B. So what we were talking about here was lessons. We were talking about learnings. We were talking about building in public. We were talking about case studies, sharing our portfolio. And really, you can see that this all demonstrates, hey, we know how to do the thing. We know how to do it well. And if you are in the market for this or you have this problem, we're the clear option to reach out to. So thought leadership content, had him posting 6 times a week on LinkedIn. That's going to be the exact play that I would run no matter what kind of service-based business you are operating currently. LinkedIn is a gold mine of B2B deal flow, both on the content and the outreach side, and something that we implement pretty much across the board for a lot of the private clients that we work with at Hydra. So definitely recommend that if you're struggling with deal flow. And the last thing that we were really struggling with at 253 was founder bottleneck. And this is really, really common for businesses, especially under $1 million a year, because you're in the seat of having to do everything. You do all the sales, you do all the marketing, you do all the fulfillment, you do all of the human resources, you do all the finance, the account management. You do everything, right? And if you run a service-based business, you know exactly what I'm talking about, especially if you don't have employees right now, or if you already have a team, you know exactly what I mean before you had the team. So we needed to get some of this off the plate. Now, what's the highest leverage tasks for a founder to be focused on? 1, 2, and 3, right? Sales, marketing, and recruiting, or HR, right? The main things, though, because we're so small, that brings us back to sales and marketing, right? So I want all of their time going towards sales and marketing. I don't want their time going on lower leverage things like delivering the work. So the first thing that stuck out is we needed fulfillment hires. So we need designers and we need dev talent that can actually do the client work and also sub in as the account lead, the account manager, to manage the relationship and make sure the client has what they need and that they're happy and satisfied and stick around. Just wanted to snag a quick second and say, if you find any value in this content, I would super appreciate if you would drop a like and a sub. I try and upload at least 2 times a week to bring you our best learnings and insights from not only our clients, but our own portfolio, and would mean the world to me. Also, a side note, over 93% of you are not subscribed that actually watch the channel, so it would mean a ton. And now back to the video. So after we had this in place, Nicholas was able to focus his time on sales and marketing. Now to do that, we had to complete a couple of things. And the main pieces that we had to focus on was documenting what success actually looked like for these client projects. So how do we do that? Well, step one, we need a home for systems. Now, we're a big fan of ClickUp as a project management tool. I love it. It's great. Asana, Monday, doesn't really matter what one you use, but you need some sort of tool where we can house our trainings and our tools and our resources. Notion, another good one. So basically, what I had Nicholas do is say, okay, you're going to record a document exactly what a good SOP or a good process to design a website or good principles to design by. Here's examples of sites that we like. Here's elements that we want to make sure are on every page every time. And we're going to record and document those, translate them into SOPs. And that way there is a repeatable framework that controls quality, and we can easily pass this off to a contractor or a full-time hire and train them using that documentation. Should be super easy to access for them. And one of my favorite things to do when you record yourself and do this, just take it over to AI and say, hey, turn this into an SOP. I want you to act as a COO at an agency or at a consulting firm or at whatever type of service business you run, accounting, legal, and just have it turn it into the SOP for you. Going to save you a ton of time there. And then just store it in one of these project management tools in what we call a company wiki. And that's going to allow your team to have easy access to it. Now, what you'll find is after you do this for a month or two, there's not going to really be a lot of tasks within the business that you haven't recorded yourself doing, created training and process around. Now you just need to delegate it and make sure that you're managing whoever you delegated it to well, checking in with them each week, having a one-on-one meeting, making sure that the quality is still up here so that you can continue to have the confidence to go sell and market your business and ultimately scale it. So this is exactly what we did from 12K a month to 80K a month. And we were able to do this pretty seamlessly because we had the right systems in place and we focused on the highest leverage activity at each point. In the beginning, we needed clients, and that's really all that mattered. Then we needed clients that brought us the right revenue that allowed us to hire people over time. Then once we had the revenue to hire people over time, we had to get the right people in place and get the work delegated so we could go focus back on sales and marketing. That grew our revenue in the first place. So that is exactly how we help 253 Media scale. That said, if you're an agency, consultant, B2B service provider, and you want a custom roadmap built out exactly as I just did, but for your business, and you want us to plug all of our proven systems into that, you want to come in person, work with our team and workshop that, click the link in the description and go ahead and apply for one of our DNA days. If not, would really appreciate a like and a sub, and I'll catch you in the next one.